The White Sox are playing better baseball, but now they have to go face the AL East leading New York Yankees. Can the Sox pull off some upsets? Let's discuss next on Locked On White Sox.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, I'm your host, Todd Welter, a lifelong Sox fan and the site expert of Southside Showdown, part of the fan-sided network. You can check out my written content at southsideshowdown.com. Also, I've covered Major League Baseball for outlets such as the Associated Press. And thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And hey, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox. Smash the like button and also follow or subscribe to the show on wherever you get your podcasts and leave a 5-star review. So the White Sox are going to kick off a brutal 39-game stretch of schedule. Starts tonight against the New York Yankees for a 3-game set in the Bronx. And I talked about how tough it'll be on yesterday's show, so feel free to go back and check out that episode. But I want to talk about some storylines and things to watch for in this 3-game series. And then I want to go over a tweet a local radio station had about the bright future of Chicago sports and the White Sox being excluded. And finally, Braden Shoemake, what is it you say you do here? Because it is What Is It You Say You Do Here Fridays. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. All right, so the Sox start a 3-game set with the New York Yankees. The Yankees have a 1-game lead over the Baltimore Orioles in a very, very tough AL East. They're not dealing with the AL Central here. In fact, the Yankees crushed the Twins in a 3-game set in Minnesota. Then again, the Yankees own the Twins, like the Twins own the White Sox. And, oh yeah, the Yankees have the best record in the American League. So you're going to have the best team in the American League versus the worst team in the American League. And the Yankees are coming back home after a 6-game road trip in which they took 2 of 3 from the Rays. And as I mentioned, they swept the Twins. And I just want to go over some storylines or things to follow in this 3-game set. So the first thing we want to talk about, obviously, is the talent disparity. The Yankees have Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton seems to have rediscovered his swing, as he at least has 9 homers on the season. The rotation has been amazing, even with Cole out. So, you just want to see the talent disparity. Let's just look at where the offenses and the pitching are when you compare them. New York is 4th in the league in runs with 216. The White Sox dead last with 128. The Yankees are 2nd in homers with 60. White Sox are tied for dead last in dingers with just 32. And for example, I went to the Brewers Pirates game on Wednesday, and the Brewers hit 5 home runs, and it was like, what's that? Because I've been watching so much White Sox baseball. The New York Yankees get on base at a 336 clip. That's good for 4th. Sox are dead last in OBP, 276. Am I depressing you yet? Wasn't my intention this morning. I'm sorry. The Yankees slug 429. That's 4th in the majors. The Sox slug 335. Dead last. Yankees are 3rd in OPS. Sox are dead last. The pitching. The Yankees have the 2nd best team ERA at 291. The Sox, hey, they're improving. They're 24th in the league with a 4.45 ERA. The Yankees are 2nd in opponent batting average at 214. Sox, 240. And the best chance for the Sox to win is tonight I didn't want to sound out of town stupid, so I reached out to Stacy at Locked On Yankees. My schedule, trust me, this weekend or today was not going to match up for a crossover episode. So I just emailed, and she did tell me tonight is the Sox best chance for a W with Nestor Cortez on the mound. He is the weakest of the Yankees starting pitchers, and it's not because he's bad. It's just that he has the highest ERA of the rotation. And oh yeah, it's 4.02. Adam Weinrub or what Weinrib. Sorry, I've actually never had to address him by his last name. He's my boss at Fansided and the site expert at Yanks Go Yard, part of the Fansided network. He does tell me that the Yankees historically have struggled against Mike Clevenger. He goes tonight for the Sox, although Cortez pitches better at Yankee Stadium. So yeah, but tonight's supposedly the best night for the Sox to have a victory. And I'll get into why Sunday is going to be a little rough in just a few seconds. But first, how will the Sox handle Aaron Judge? Judge is on a heater. His slash line the past 7 days 450, 593, 1000. Yeah, that's right. His OPS is 1.593. And his OPS this month is a ridiculous 1.413, along with 5 homers this month. He's already at a 2.3 FWAR and a WRC plus of 169. So you might want to avoid pitching to him. Can the Sox, though, keep Juan Soto in a slump? Over his last 7 games, he has a 120, 179, 160 slash line. So basically, he's 3 for 25 with no homers and just a double. But here's the biggest storyline. Will Carlos Rodon get his revenge? He's slated to pitch on Sunday. The Sox, former first-round pick, as you remember, had an injury plague tenure with the White Sox on the South Side. He even got non-tendered after the 2020 season. Sox got him back on the cheap. They signed him to that 1-year, $3 million deal, and he finally fulfilled his potential. Had a 2.37 ERA, but again, injuries reared its ugly head. And that is why he wasn't brought back. He goes to the Giants on another prove it deal and shines, and then signs that huge deal with New York. Now, he was injured for most of last season, but he's been healthy this season. He's got a 3.31 ERA and a 1.22 whip. And this will be his first start. I looked it up on Baseball Reference. Didn't see any career stats against the White Sox. So this will be his first official start against his former team. I got a bad feeling about this. Remember when Eric Fetty blanked the Washington Nationals? I have a feeling Carlos Rodon is going to dominate the White Sox. Although Chris Flexen counters, and he was really good against the Tampa Bay Rays in 2 starts. He obviously wasn't the best in his last outing, so hopefully he can get back on track, keep that trade value up. And oh yeah, the final thing to watch out for will be is can Brad Keller keep the Sox in the game on Saturday as he's slated to start. So Chicago sports is brimming with an optimistic future. I've even talked that, hey, the Sox have a narrow path to a bright future, but it's still a path. But according to 670 The Score, that optimistic future does not include the White Sox. Let's discuss next on Locked On White Sox. Get supplies from the site that's made for skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. And are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest sports stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube and the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And the White Sox kick off a 3-game series against the New York Yankees in the Bronx with the first pitch scheduled for 6:05 p.m. Central tonight. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. And welcome back into Locked On White Sox. I am your host, Todd Welter. Thank you for making the show your first listen. Again, lots of great White Sox podcasts out there. I just hope I'm your first one that you listen to. Let's be clear about that. You'll always remember your first podcast listen of the day. And hey, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox. Smash the like button. Also follow or subscribe to the show on wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, leave a 5-star review. All right, so White Sox social media, it's actually a very fun place to observe and even participate in, as long as you avoid the trolls. But it's up in arms right now about a tweet top local radio station 670 The Score sent out yesterday. Now, I don't know about the copyrights of the picture that they had, so that's why I'm not sharing with you visually. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that I have some new decorations. I don't know how my wife is going to appreciate it, but hey, I figured I can get some White Sox stuff. And the elephant puzzle, my daughter put that together when she was like 3 years old, so that's why it's up there. But 670 The Score, at 670 The Score tweeted this out yesterday. A new era. Chicago sports is in good hands with their next batch of stars making the come up. And they had a picture of the Cubs' Christopher Morel, the Sky's Angel Reese, Bears quarterback Caleb Williams, Connor Bedard of the Blackhawks, and Roma Dunze of the Bears. No Luis Robert Jr., no Garrett Crochet. And this has had the White Sox Twitter community fuming. So why am I discussing a tweet? Well, first, it just shows how irrelevant the Sox have become in a 3-year period. You know, it seems like a lifetime ago when that ball landed in the Iowa cornfield that Tim Anderson smashed against the Yankees in the Field of Dreams game in 2021. Everything has been downhill since. And why? Well, you got owner Jerry Reinsdorf, who continues to find ways to just show how much he does not like us. You know, he's asking for public dollars to build a new stadium. He's sort of hinted that, well, you know, if you don't give me the money, Nashville could use a team. We had to endure the Tony La Russa embarrassment during his second tenure as manager. Because after that ball landed in that Iowa cornfield, Tony just continued to get taken to the woodshed by fellow managers, and then Dusty Baker embarrassed him in the ALDS, and then obviously there was the 2022 just total underachieving season. You also had Jerry Reinsdorf do the worst general manager search in the history of baseball when he didn't interview a single outside candidate. When interviews are free, they just take time, but Jerry didn't want to take the time. He just promotes Chris Getz. You know, we had that 12-hour window of hope when Jerry finally fired Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams, and then it all just went away. You know, and the other reason why there's this up in arms is the belief of Cubs bias from the Score, since they are the flagship station of the Cubs. But you know, and yes, I'm a Scorehead, but you got to understand they've got Sox fans that host shows, or at least former Sox fans, I would love to get Lawrence Holmes on the show to talk about how he's a free agent fan. But Chris Tannehill used to be a former host. He's one of their personalities, obviously one of the best producers in the game. So there's not a ton of bias, but there's just you got to realize: do the Sox actually have a legit draw, or even a legit future draw? Because that picture had, for example, Angel Reese, who could probably develop a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type draw for the WNBA with Caitlin Clark. Caleb Williams is the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears. He's a rookie. He's the number one overall draft pick, and he's considered a generational talent. And this is a Bears town. And he's probably going to be throwing future touchdown passes to Roma Dunze. And Connor Bedard, he might be eventually the best player in hockey. And when the Blackhawks are great, fans turn out. So, Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves are beloved in Chicago. And even when the Blackhawks are not good, Connor Bedard was a draw. The Blackhawks had a great attendance. But when you look at the White Sox, you could say, well, watching Garrett Crochet pitch could be a draw, but he's only going to go every 5 days. And with the Sox becoming irrelevant, it means less hype for Kosa Montgomery. And he's an exciting prospect, but you're not hearing a ton about him because, again, the White Sox are irrelevant right now. I hate to say it, but they are. When you start 3-22 and you got columns written about like, hey, let's embrace being historically bad, that's being irrelevant. And you can point to being excited about Brian Ramos. I'm excited about him, but he just got hurt. Hopefully he doesn't have to go on the IL. But that's the other thing. These injuries have prevented, guys being draws. Like Luis Robert Jr. last year was the first year where he finally played a full season where you could be like, yeah, this guy's going to be healthy. And then what happens? He's injured. Yohan Moncada, he was the top prospect in baseball at one point. Injuries have ruined his career. Eloy Jimenez. Thanks, Cubs. Well, he gets hurt. And it doesn't help that the Sox have been dysfunctional and inept that have earned them the scorn. You don't build great PR when you sign Mike Clevenger twice. There was a person shot in the stands, and you have the owner trying to say that the shot came from outside the stadium. So either somebody snuck a gun into the stadium, which was one of the rumors, or again, you're basically reinforcing the stereotype that the Sox play in an unsafe neighborhood. You got Jerry Reinsdorf asking for full funding of the new stadium, like I just previously mentioned, but then also just actually bagging on Bridgeport because he's saying that neighborhood doesn't turn out to support the team when they do. And yes, it does stink to be treated like little brother in this market, and sometimes like little stepbrother. But the Sox have earned the right to be ignored. So how can the Sox build up a brighter future? Well, like I said, there's the slim path with their starting pitching. Drew Thorpe has the potential to be a draw. Nick Nastarini, Jonathan Cannon, Iriarte, Eder, Jake Eder, Kai Bush. They have the chance to have an exciting rotation. But the thing is, pitchers only go every 5 days, and they can tend to get hurt. That is why the next 2 drafts, in my opinion, are very important to building a bright future. Get that hype up. That's what the Cubs did. Cubs traded away, their core. They built up some exciting prospects. Pete Crow Armstrong. So that's what the White Sox need to do. Build up your farm system, have some great drafts, Because again, when I was a kid, the lowest point that the Sox were at was in the late 80s. But guess what? Jack McDowell, Frank Thomas, Robin Ventura. You've got to have a run like that again. Well, it is Friday, and it's time to discuss why Braden Shoemake makes you go, what is it you say you do here? Next on Locked On White Sox. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. And hey, maybe you like today's lines on the Sox game. Maybe that's something you want to get in on. As I looked it up as of this recording, Sox lines are plus 1.5 for the Sox. The money line is plus 220, and the over under is 8.5. And hey, Sox still struggle to score runs. And I just talked about it earlier. Yankees pitching is outstanding. So just saying, maybe that under is something that you want to hit. I don't know. Prop bets obviously are always great to play. Like I said, my college roommate, he loves to organize bets. On the ones that he knows he's going to win, but then he wants to throw in a little prop bet, like saying, "Hey, is this game going to go into overtime?" Gives him a little extra rooting interest. And also, you can play FanDuel in Illinois. So visit fanduel.com/locked on and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And again, the White Sox kick off a 3-game series against the New York Yankees in the Bronx with the first pitch scheduled for 6:05 p.m. Central tonight. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. And thank you for sticking with me so far. If you've been enjoying the past 2 segments, appreciate you every dayers. Hope you're going to have some fun weekend plans. Today's not my favorite day. I lost my sister to cancer 7 years ago today. She was a diehard White Sox fan. It's one of the things we bonded over. She was my oldest sister, so we were 11 years apart. Big, huge generation gap. But the one thing we had was always baseball. So, not my favorite day, but gonna get through it. So, but as you guys know, I've been with you for a month, and there's 2 things that I've made clear that I love out next to White Sox baseball. I love coffee. White Sox mug this morning. And I love movies. I also love the Bears and the Blackhawks and Marquette basketball, but definitely love movies. Office Space, it's a cult classic, and if you haven't seen it, I know as it keeps aging, and I know my demographic is, you know, keeps getting further away, like from when Office Space first came out. But if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's still timely today. And one of the best lines is one of the characters is trying to explain his irrelevant job. One of the consultants brought in to eventually fire him asks him, "What is it you say you do here?" And I asked that about utility infielder Braden Shoemake, as he is this week's player. That makes you wonder, what is it you say you do here? In fact, it makes me even wonder, is he good enough to even be in the majors? I mean, I get it. He's a backup. But with Danny Bendick coming close to coming off the IL and rookie Brian Ramos impressing, maybe Shoemake's run at the majors should be over. Now, again, that's if Ramos doesn't have to go on IL, as he did tweak his quad in that doubleheader. But Shoemake is doing nothing that warrants Ramos not getting more of a look once Mendick is back. Shoemake's slash line is 125, 134, 203. He has a negative 12 WRC plus and 67 at bats. That's Lenine Sosa type production. Now, I get he's a left handed bat, and a left-handed bat off the bench, but he has a 1-0. He's hitting 109 off of righties. He is 1 for 23 this month and one walk the entire season. Like if you're struggling, then at least try to get on base. And he's not providing anything defensively. He's a -1 defensive run saved and a -2 outs above average. He can't hit, he can't field. He should go to AAA. You can keep Zach Remillard and get better production once Danny Mendick returns. And then Mendick, I mean, heck, you could put Mendick as the utility role. But Braden Shoemake is doing not much. And it makes you wonder, is he going to be a Major League Baseball player? Or is he just a 4A player? Because he came over in that Aaron Bummer deal. Well, that wraps up this edition of Locked On White Sox. Before I go, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Now it's also available on the Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the Fire TV channels app. And I'll be back on Monday to talk about what happened in the 3-game set with the Yankees. Hopefully we get some surprise, hopefully it's surprisingly good, but I would expect the worst. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page at Locked On White Sox. Smash the like button and give a 5-star review on wherever you get your podcasts. And let me know your thoughts on today's topics regarding what to watch for in this series against the Yankees and the Sox becoming irrelevant in Chicago and Braden Shoemake being the what is it you say you do here player this week. You can leave them on Twitter at ToddJDub, or you can email me at lockedonwhitesox@gmail.com. Have a great day. See you Monday.